Good morning. Good morning. What's up, fellas?
Good
Good
morning.
morning, my G.
How's it going?
What's up,
Good.
baby?
Get your orange juice in, man. Get some orange juice in you, brother.
Good. Natural.
Good morning, Mom. We back after what 2, 3 week. I guess you call it a break. Like nothing made me want to learn anything to do a podcast. But the information that we're going to talk about today, definitely stuck out to me. So we back with another team meeting where our mission is to distract you from your current story, dismantle your current belief systems, and inspire you to change your mind. Because once you can change your mind, you can change your life. All of the places y'all can see us. We appreciate the follows, but most importantly, hit that like button, comment. And our mission is to serve, so please hit the share button. The more people we can get in front of, the better. So the topic for today is that most people in America can't afford rent anywhere today. Most people, speaking about the masses, can't afford rent anywhere in the whole country today. So, housing apocalypse. So, those in the know, economists and market movers and such, believe that there's a housing apocalypse on the rise. And I made this yesterday and I actually saw it was early this morning in DC. I think today there's a protest somewhere because the housing moratorium is about to end. So, AKA, you got to start paying your rent and you got to start paying your mortgage again. But people don't want that. They don't want that assistance to end until the pandemic is officially over. And now it looks like we're at I guess like a restart or like a re phase of everybody catching the Rona again.
Resurgence.
A resurgence. There you go. A resurgence where we may have to quarantine again. And people are like, all right, we need that bread coming in until the pandemic is officially over. So,
You're at the
how
Capitol building.
at the Capitol building?
Yeah. Yep. They spun the Republicans. They stayed the night last night, and there was like 40, 50 people out there all night.
Oh, it already started. It already
No,
started.
I saw pictures of it this morning. Yeah, they started last night. They were out there like
Oh,
3
okay.
a.m. sleeping bag.
Okay. We already started. So housing experts forecast a coming housing apocalypse at the end of July. Today is August 1st. Eviction bans put in place at the start of the pandemic are lifting just as enhanced unemployment benefits expire. That could lead to millions of households to face eviction and potentially homelessness as they choose between paying their rent or taking care of their other basic needs like food, medicine, family, XYZ. An estimated 32%, almost one third, missed their housing payments at the beginning of this month being July. Now that we're in August. So almost one third of everybody in the country missed their housing payments in July. And now August, a lot of the housing assistance programs are starting to be removed. But this is nothing new. Even prior to the pandemic, this was a big issue for a lot of people in America, being able to pay their rent, pay their mortgage. So before the pandemic hit, 25% of all renters and 71% of extremely low income renters were paying over half of their income for their housing. So let's say you make $1,000 a month, over 500 was for housing. You make 4,000 a month, over 2,000 was for housing. Um, Often leaving them one emergency away from eviction. And now, because of the pandemic, millions of people are having that one emergency at the same time. We are still living with the legacy of redlining, where the government and such strategically put different neighborhoods and cities together to keep poverty here and wealth over there, even if it doesn't really make sense. That's why you can live right next to one high school, but your neighborhood school is like 15 minutes away due to redlining. The Fair Housing Act made these racist housing policies illegal over 50 years ago, but we still see the effects today, and segregation and discrimination continue. Too often, leading to your zip code determining your access to healthcare, education, and different work opportunities. Black Americans accounted for only 13% of the population in 2019, but 40%, more or less half, of people experiencing homelessness. So we're like 1%, 10% of the population, 1 out of 10, but 4 out of 10 experiencing homelessness. People who are identified as Hispanic or Latino, there's actually more of them than us, like almost another 50% of us, which I didn't know that. We're 18% of the population and accounting for 22% of homelessness. Now, some other data that I didn't put in here, the Hispanic homes, the Asian homes, and I think there's another demographic, are also some of the most overcrowded homes. Black people, we were not on that. So they probably would have more homelessness if so many of them didn't live in one home. You know, like their whole family will be in one home. That's not something that we do in our communities. The Federal Reserve's May report on the economic well-being of American households found that just about 40% of people working in February of last year with household incomes below $40,000 reported that they lost their jobs in March. A survey conducted in April by the Pew Research Center found that 52% of lower income households reported a loss of employment or income due to the coronavirus outbreak. So more or less, just about half of people who lost their jobs due to the pandemic had lower level jobs who were making lower level salaries. That survey also found evidence of racial disparities in job and income loss. While 38% of white adults reported such a loss, 44% of black adults and 61% of Latino adults did too. All right, so let's stay here for a second. White people, they're part of this too, because although they have the lowest rate here, they had the highest increase of unemployment. Their unemployment rate tripled. No other race tripled. So they already had the lowest, yeah, but their community felt it the most. I know, like, I'm speaking for everybody, like collectively, but we often go to this unfair thing, like white people got everything and everybody else doesn't have anything. Like they got smoked too. They got smoked the hardest. Although their number is still the lowest, their unemployment rate tripled. And this is none of this is my opinion. This is from a report called Out of Reach, the High Cost of Living by the National Low Income Housing Coalition. It's not my opinion. Affordable rent. So in 2020, fair market rent, a 1-bedroom is $1,017, just about a G. And a 2-bedroom is $1,246. So we got like a G and we got like $1,300 for a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom respectively. So the affordable rent for somebody living on Social Security, $235. It's over for you. Social Security not going to do it. The affordable rent for a household with one full-time worker earning minimum wage, $377. It's over for you. That's a single mom working at McDonald's, right? It's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. The affordable rent for an individual who's getting the average unemployment checks, just about $500. Still can't afford it. That's only 50% of what you need. The affordable rent for a family of 4 with an income at the poverty level, $655. Ain't nothing you can do with that. And then the affordable rent for a full-time worker who's getting the average renter's wage. They're getting $948. That's still below the minimum to meet that $1,017 threshold. So regardless of your situation, if you're making minimum wage, according to the data, you can't afford to live anywhere. All right, so let's talk about reasonable wages. Reasonable wages. So the report's housing wage is an estimate of the hourly wage that full-time workers have to earn to afford a rental home at HUD's fair market rent value without spending more than 30% of their income. So if you make $6,000 a month Ideally, your rent should really be no more than about 1,800, 30% of your income. Fair market rents are estimates of what a family moving today can expect to pay for a modestly priced rental home in a given area. Not a mansion, but just a modestly priced home. The kind of home that can be rented for fair market rent is in decent condition, but it's not in luxury housing. So just like a solid home that can serve your needs. So the national housing wage for a 2-bedroom home, $23.96 an hour. And for a 1-bedroom home, $19.56 an hour. So 2-bedroom on average, you need to make just about $24 an hour. 1-bedroom on average, you need to make $20 an hour. But the minimum wage, federal, national, is only $7.25. That's crazy. And minimum wage does not keep pace with inflation. And it is worth nearly 29% less than what it was in 1968. So the 2021 numbers, we're getting paid a third less of what the average minimum wage was in 1968, which is 78, 88, 98, 08, 18, over 50 years ago, 53 years ago or so, right? We're getting paid, if you're in this category, 30% less. So although the numbers are way higher that you're bringing in, the numbers that you have to put out for your expenses are exponentially higher, right? So they both risen through time, but the expenses have risen so much more. So 29 states, including DC, and a handful of counties and municipalities have minimum wages that are higher than the federal minimum wage. Like I think in DC it's like $15 or somewhere around there, but still that's not 1956 or 23.96. But even taking these higher minimum wages into account, the average minimum wage worker must work nearly 97 hours a week. That's 2 full-time jobs plus more to afford a 2-bedroom rental, or 79 hours a week, which is basically 2 full-time jobs to afford a 1-bedroom rental at fair market value. People who work 97 hours a week and say they get 8 hours of sleep a day, they have fewer than 2.5 hours a day left over to do anything else, to drive to work, to cook, to clean, to take care of family, or whatever else they got to do. They only got an extra 2.5 hours of work, if just including work and sleep. All right. So two bedroom, 97 hours a week. 1-bedroom, 79 hours a week. Crazy. However, the struggle to afford rental housing is not just confined to minimum wage workers. The average winter's hourly wage is $18.22, and that's still just about $6 less than what's needed on average to get that 2-bedroom, and $1.34 less than what's needed to get that 1-bedroom. As a result, the average worker has to work 53 hours a week to get that 2-bedroom apartment. So it's not just the minimum wage. This is also a struggle for the average worker. So if you're average and below, your income is below what it takes to afford rent anywhere in the country. So if you're getting average income or below average income, you can't afford rent anywhere in the country. So these are the states with the largest shortfall between the average renter wage and the 2-bedroom housing wage. So how much you're getting paid in comparison to what you need to afford a 2-bedroom home, according to fair market value. So in Hawaii, if you're getting checks every 2 weeks, each check is $1,700 short of what you need. Maryland, where all three of us are, each check is $1,100 short of what you need. Cali, it's $1,000 short of what you need. Jersey, where we're all from, $850 short of what you need. And this is all per check. So double this if you want to talk about what you need per month. Vermont, just about $800 short. Massachusetts, $764 short. Washington State, $700 short. And Connecticut, $685 short. Right? So people that live here, you gotta have your stuff together, because you're basically missing a whole nother check or two to do what you need to do in order to afford rent for a 2-bedroom home. All right, so what's the solution? Now, this part is my opinion. It's not Kendall's, it's not KP's. This is me. What's the solution? So, number one, nobody's coming to save you, especially if you're Black, Latino, Asian, anything, not white. Nobody's coming to save you, and they never have, never have. So, a lot of the things that we hope for, like in our community, it's cool to hope for them and vote for the person that tells you he's going to help you, and then you get the job, and then you miss him, or your mayor, he can't help you, right? Your councilman can't help you, president can't help you. If they did, it would have happened. We've had 2021 years so far of no help. So in 2022 or 2021, I don't know why people are still seeking help. My opinion, but nobody's ever came to help me or my community. I've yet to see that. They might drop a donation for a tax write-off, they might drop a school or give you a fruit truck or something, but nobody's really coming to give you that extra $1,700 you need every check. The system is working how it was designed to. So here's the thing in 2021. You can now be a part of it. It's not like before where Black people couldn't do the things that white people could do, or Latinos or Hispanics or anybody, right? You can actually be a part of it. It's a different journey depending on where you're coming from, your race and your culture. 100%. It's not the same ride for everybody. But if you figure it out and you stick to it, you can be a part of it. Like a lot of things that were illegal and will get you killed just 40, 50 years ago are now actually embraced in our communities, and we can be a part of it. So here's the key. Simply, you gotta get your bread up. It's as simple as that. Because nobody's coming to give you money. Nobody's coming to give you money. And when they do drop that $1,400 on you, a year later, they hit us with that inflation, and that $1,400 ain't really $1,400, right? But when they do drop this $600 on you, $300, whatever people get for unemployment, we're gonna pay that back in taxes. It's going to be a give and take, and the take is going to be more than the give. Keep that in mind. So the only solution is to get your bread up. Whether you coming from poverty or you coming from Baldwin Hills or whatever, you got to find a way to make money. And nobody's coming to give that to you. It can be the system's fault. It can be your parent was a drug addict's fault. It can be that your teacher didn't like you fault. It is what it is. The only way that you'll ever get through something like this is you have to find a way to get your bread up, right? So regardless of your race, I just said that your financial success is directly correlated with how you react or respond to this message, right? Whoever watches this, whoever sees this, or when we say this to other people, a lot of people, especially people of color, are going to be like, oh no, everything is wrong and the system is and that and all that. All right, cool. They're reacting, right? Or you can respond, right? There's some people in this world, you put them in a situation, they're not going to worry about how fair it is or what the system is doing. They're going to find out, all right, what do I need to do to overcome this? Or who's been in my situation or worse, who is now on the other side of this? What did they do? Right? Or school didn't teach me this. How can I learn on my own to learn about the things that school doesn't teach me instead of complaining about why school doesn't teach me how to do these things? Right? Even though most of the teachers in the school don't know how to do the things themselves. Right? That's why teachers are some of the lowest paid people in the country, and we want schools to teach us about money, So how do you react or how do you respond to this message? So this message is not really a message, right? It's a source of stress. So if we're coming out of this situation, if you're one of these low income people in this situation, you're going to have to put yourself through extra stress to alleviate the stress. You might have to figure out how to do that 97 hours plus another 20 hours a week to go back to school to get a degree so you can get a higher paying job. And then maybe once you get that higher paying job, you got to put in even more hours, maybe not so many at work, but more into yourself to learn how to start your business or to develop some skill to bring in extra income. And maybe you're the person who has to take the hit for your family, and you do that 30 years and you never make it out of that situation. But you can be like our parents who all learned and put us in situations to get a great education, and now we use that education to go to the next level, and now we go to this level so our kids can get to the next level, right? So it's all about how you respond to these stressful situations. So the first way you can respond to stress is as a threat. Oh no, the system is doing this, and white people did this to me, or black people are so mean, or whatever the case may be. It's this big, big thing that we believe that we can't handle because we're threatened by it. We're threatened by society. We're threatened by the system. We're threatened by what's done and what's not done. Right? So when we think like that, we go into fight, flight, freeze, or faint mode. Right? We're fighting back and we're not focused on the thing, or we run away. Like a lot of people think just because they move, they're gonna find because they move to Atlanta, their life gonna change. You feel me? It's the same thing. If you're not adding value up here, you're probably not adding value down there. You feel me? That's just kind of how it goes. And you get real tight and you're programmed to survive. Like simply focus on paying the bills, paying the bills, paying the bills, paying the bills, paying the bills. You're focused on the minimum, really all the wrong things. Or you can focus on this as a challenge. Like, all right, I got this big task in front of me. How can I chip away so that next Monday, I'm not in the same situation? The next Monday, I'm not in the same situation. The next Monday, I'm not in the same situation, right? It's a source of energy. It's a source of motivation. Like, all right, nobody in my family could do this before, but I'm going to be that person that can do it. Or nobody in my culture gets above minimum wage, but I'm going to be the person that changes it. Or everybody in my family is doing well, I'm going to be the person to continue it. Like whatever side that you're on, you should look at it as a challenge so that you'll do the things that you normally don't do, that you know you should do, because doing those things are the things that are going to change your situation. So all in all, you got to accept the challenge. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save us. They never have. When they do, I think we'll have a totally, extremely different world. So accept the challenge. And the number one thing you need to do if you're in a situation is you got to learn, right? You have to learn a way to add value to another company or add more value to your company, start your own business, change the culture of your family, step by step by step by step. You got to accept the challenge because it's scary to me that literally nowhere in the country, if you don't have like an amazing job or an amazing business, you can't afford anywhere to live. So build some skills, get some education, accept the challenge. And lastly, you may not be the one to get these benefits. Like if you're coming from a cultural deficit, it may be you that got to struggle through the entire situation, but you make it better for your kids. Like these aren't really things that are going to change in a day, a week, a month, or a year. Like for some people it may, for some people it will, but for a lot of people, it's going to take a long time. All right, let's go Pizzle, then KG.
Now this is this is a very, very heavy subject, right? Because we're talking about the reality of financials for people and what's occurring with like the inflation and different things like that. Good morning, Miss Kim. Good morning, Miss Debbie as well. But I mean, you definitely hit some good points when you talked about like the step-by-step guide to like getting out of it and solutions, right? I think one of the key things for us to do is to find the opportunities. Let's keep it real. Like even if the government does provide some type of assistance, which to me, in my opinion, they have done to certain cultures and certain people, but it's always never just enough. It's never enough to kind of like boost you up to that next level, right? It's always just enough for you to maintain on welfare, to maintain and stay alive and have some type of food in your stomach. Though it's not like the best type of foods. So I think it's very imperative that people find opportunities to be able to generate money, right? Whether or not you're able to start a business, start something where you throw parties, or just finding an additional way to increase that income coming in, and also being better and being more educated. I think what Malk said, he touched on, was saying increase your amount of education towards finances, right? Like learn how to do taxes, learn how your tax works. That's more money coming back to you. Learn how to start a business, learn how to properly run that business financially. And I think these are some of the additional ways to kind of like combat the fact that there's no more middle class, right? Like as the rich keep going up, the poor are getting poorer. So we got to find ways to maintain and to generate more income through that. And also to just really stay encouraged, right? I think one thing about going through stress and not having money and going through financial ups and downs is that a lot of times it changes your mindset, right? Poverty is a real thing, but I also think that poverty is a mindset as well, because you stay in like in like a lower type of mindset. You really don't think out of the box. And I think that it's very important to stay encouraged. Keep your head up and continue to strive to get out of that situation, to not rely on the government or rely on assistances and programs like that. So I think that's very important to maintain the mental aspect of it, and just to continue to go out there to try to generate some type of dollars. Because, yo, as you clearly see, if you do the bare minimum, the minimum wage won't get you there. And then you'll be very, very short. And then it leads to a lot of other issues in your life. So just find that way to kind of like boost it up. If you got to connect with friends, start a business, start a company, get the tax write-offs, do what you got to do. But basically right now, as we clearly see, yo, like you can't survive off just being the basic individual. And it's funny because I had said this a few years ago. I said, as the years goes on, it's going to turn into really like the haves and the have-nots. And I think that's what we're starting to see now. And as it kind of continues to progress, that gap is going to continue to grow as well. So take heed, man. Do what you got to do to get your money up. Do what you got to do to get your financial things right. Because as you see, we're heading down a path to where people are either going to be able to survive or people are going to fall off and just completely just fall off. So great topic today, Mount.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely real, KP, because just like you said, this is a reality for many Americans, many people who are going through this struggle and may not understand it or may quite not like see the severity of it, because for so long we had the ability to not pay the rent if you couldn't pay it or not. But just like you said, this is kind of reminding me of like the Hunger Games type stuff, like with the different sanctions or whatever, and literally the have and have not. So is real for sure. And one thing that I've learned in terms of how to make good money. And I read it in this book called Unlock It, and it was saying the key to getting more money, if you're looking for that, is to have a high value skill set, right? Because when you have a high value skill set, people are going to need to come to you, right? Whatever it is that you like to do, you have a high skill set. You can set your price, and the demand will be high for you. Because as you know, when you just have a job, as many people seen, the job can just let you go, right? And then you're gone, right? And if they let you go, they can pick somebody else and like that, right? Where you have a profession, the profession, how much you're getting paid is based on how much they think you're worth. So when you unlock your high skill set, how value skills, then it allows you to earn the maximum amount, or whatever that skill set for you is. It's a lot of things that people are interested in doing for sure. But yeah, this is a huge, and the fact that like the minimum wage is so low as inflation is occurring. This is a real life issue or crisis that we're about to see in our country. And unfortunately, people are thinking that it's up to other people to help them and save them. Ultimately, some people there's going to be some programs and things like that may assist people. But when it comes down to it, as Malcolm clearly said, it's up to you. We live in a capitalist society, no matter if you like it or not. So that is ran by the power of money, and money will always, the more you have, will always put you in a better situation, right? Because in a capitalist society, they're going to need people who are kind of like workers, like worker pawns. So people aren't going to feel bad for people who have to put in all these hours, right? To just get by, because this is the society that we have. So if you don't want to be that person that is getting overworked with nothing to show from, develop a high value skill set, because it's going to be a long, stressful life, and it may not be that long for you, because We all know stress and how that happens. It eats away at you, and it could definitely take a lot of years off of your life. So, you know, this is an extremely real topic. We're sitting here on August 1st, and you know, fortunately for me, I don't have to feel that anxiety, but it's people right now that's waking up literally like, yo, I have no idea what I'm about to do. Like, and some people could be single, some people could be have a whole family. So this is a something for sure that you know, if you're not taken seriously, it can come sweep you right under your feet for sure.
And I wanted to, that was very good, KG. You kind of like something in my thinking. I do think that the past with this pandemic, I do think that it has supplemented the rate of the haves and the have-nots, right? One thing that I've noticed is that I saw individuals completely just sit back and collect checks and just kind of not do anything and just kind of like relax the whole time, or not really put the effort towards bettering themselves. And then I saw a different group of individuals, like personally, like really put the effort towards like bettering themselves, finding ways to find money, finding ways to generate the income. And then now when you look at it, like now the pandemic is kind of like not necessarily going down, but we were allowed back outside. I mean, you see the differences in people, like the people who kind of like collected the checks and just didn't want to do anything, and the people who I tried to encourage, like, yo, you should do this, do that now. Now they're sitting back like, oh, I can't find a job, or I can't do this. Versus the individuals who were like staying consistent throughout those 18 months, still trying to be hungry, trying to fight it and not really rely too much on the handouts. I'm seeing like a big gap even within them. And it's very interesting to know that, yes, I believe that we are heading back into another lockdown because everything's going crazy right now. You know, how much farther or how much wider is that gap going to get now that we're going back into, in my personal opinion, to another lockdown, right? I wonder if the people who really didn't put the effort towards the first 18 months, if they're going to make that change in the next lockdown, or if they're going to just continue to kind of like wait for the next handout or wait for the next thing to kind of be given to them. You know, I just kind of sparked it when you had talked about that earlier, but I think that's going to be very interesting to watch and to see unfold within the next few months.
Yeah, and for sure, and that could be dangerous, right? The lockdown in terms of if they don't change what everything is going, right? Because the lockdown can make you feel stagnant, right? A lot of people, when we dealt with a lot of people to us that told us like, yo, like I'm just in the house, I do the same thing, I'm becoming lazy. So that could even make that change even more significant because the added comfortability that you can have at home, plus the added anxiety of what is going on, what can lead you to just stillness, right? Not trying to do anything. So you know, if and when we go back into this next lockdown, this is a great time to work on yourself. This is a great time to build relationships, to build skills, to learn. So for sure, you know, and to me, you know, when we were locked down last time, that was a good opportunity for us, like for sure, because we were able to develop new programs, get closer, get a better schedule, get a better feel for what it is that we wanted to do as an organization. So it's definitely two sides to how you can come out of these lockdowns. You know, so if you put that time in, you definitely can come out of a lockdown a better person, and hopefully that'll help you propel yourself forward and getting better and higher wages.
Yeah. As Just would say, all good points, fellas. I took some notes down. So the first thing I'm hearing, which I totally agree on, Hizzle said, you can't be a basic person. Right? You can't be a basic person. You can't be ordinary expecting extraordinary results. Like that just doesn't add up. And so many of us speaking collectively, like we're caught in this loop. Like all of our habits and what we do is the exact same, and we expect for things to change. You know, like just speaking about us, pre-pandemic 2019, first it was Just. He was like, yo, like I get it. Like I'm underperforming. I'm worth so much more. XYZ. Then it was me. Then I kept telling everybody, like, come on, everybody else was pushing back. Why every day? This and that, this and that. Right? But then it started to bleed through the circle. Right? Conversation started to change. We wasn't just joking and talking about sports and movies and pop culture. We started to talk about money and business and health and books and relationships and whatever else we started to talk about. And then that was like all we talked about. And then we stopped talking to other people who that wasn't all they talked about. And then we started these businesses, and then we started doing all this work. And then for me, I know people be unhealthy, they losing their lives and stuff, but the pandemic was great to me, bro. It was absolutely great. Just because I got so much time to work on business, to learn new things, to invest in myself. I didn't have to commute for 2 hours a day, whatever it is on both sides of it. I didn't have to go work for somebody else in the same capacity. It was all of these different things that I got to work on, as did you all. And not even including Pizzle's business or Mace's business, we made more money this summer than we made for the past 3 years. And then if we add in Pizzle and Mace, Lord knows where we at. You know, the checks have increased exponentially, you know, and we talking about 19 an hour and 24 an hour. We just had a conversation this week, at least me and Mace, where I saw $100 an hour. I'm like, Mace, that's too low, bro. He's like, nah, that would just be for whoever helped me. Like, I'm getting 300 an hour. I'm like, yo, like that's still kind of too low. For the past 2 years, just been pressing me out for telling me the 500 an hour I've been charging is too low, right? So people out here tripping off of 19 and 20, yo, like you can get paid thousands of hours in like a couple of years if you not thousands of hours, thousands of dollars per hour in a couple of years if you get your game up, right? And that all starts with you and your habits, you know, like still to this day. And then, I don't know everybody, but like people don't read. Can't get you to read. I've been pressed. I've been counting my days. I'm at minus the one I missed. I'm at 497 in a row. So I'm gonna send that text when I make it to 500. But people don't want to read. Work out. Like if you really want to change your life, that's the first thing you should do. Like I don't believe nobody's really changed until you look at them and you can see them differently. Especially if they're coming from a bad physical health situation. It's so easy to look different if you're coming from bad. It's so easy, you know? And that's not a direct correlation with money, but it's a direct correlation with your habits, right? Like if you want to make money and you want to run a business, but you can't wake up early. If you can't wake up early with nothing on the line, what makes you think you're going to wake up early with $1 million business on the line? You're just going to all of a sudden put that habit in with all of that extra pressure that comes from that? Or if you can't show up prepared, looking, you know, strong and all the kind of things now for free, what makes you think you're going to do it when you got all of these other responsibilities from your $1 million business? Who's going to invest in you if you don't know anything about what you got to do at your minimum wage job? Who in your family is going to change if you're not bringing in results first, right? So you can't be a basic individual. And as Pizzle said, poverty is a mindset, right? Or when you got them checks, I saw a video. I wish I would have saved it. It was like the week that the $1,400 checks came out. It was like Gucci or one of them lines. They made a purse that was $1,399, $1,399. Put that joint in the front window, big as can be. The line was down the street. Like people literally took that $1,400 and went and spent $1,400 on a purse that holds money that they spent it on, right? There was a study about how many companies had specials that were right below the threshold of the stimulus checks, right? So many people just went and spent it. They'd always say that if you gave everybody in the world an even amount of money, all of the money would go right back to the 1%, strictly because of how they are wired. And we talked about skill sets, but lastly, a big one, especially according to the data that we've covered in some of the recent podcasts, relationships. Like relationships, you know, and I'm talking intimate relationships. Like If you're married or if you're in a strong relationship, these rent numbers are cut in half, right? Unless you just one of them man pay all the bills and you gotta get your bread up, bro. But if it's two incomes, especially when women making the same income as men these days, especially in our community, to where their income has increased by 87% over the last 30 years and only 12% for men, it's men and women paying these bills, right? But if you single, and especially unhappily single, like you got twice the work to do. You know, they say one of the biggest signs of wealth is relationships. And when we talked about those divorce rates, the those with higher incomes divorced a lot less than those with lower incomes because money really wasn't no issue. Like money becomes an issue at the higher incomes when they separate. That's how a lot of these dudes who got the most money in the world, it gets cut in half when they divorce, when they leave their partner. That's definitely their biggest financial potential thing to take away from them is their relationship. But having a relationship, being in a strong relationship, is definitely something that can help out in these situations. And in our community, as the data shows, we're getting smoked. I'm sure that plays a big role into all of these things. So skills, but most importantly, as Pizzle said, you can't be a basic individual. Otherwise, you're going to get basic results. And basic results today is like they need a new word below poverty because like I don't even know what this is called. Like when you can't afford
Catastrophic.
yeah, catastrophic poverty is where you're going to stay at. Um, so anything y'all want to add?
One thing I will add is that also I think another great thing about the pandemic is it gave people like a reality check, right? Like it made you really realize, like, yo, I think a lot of people who lost their jobs, they just sat back and it's like, damn, I don't have anything else to fall back on, right? I think going forward, use that as fuel, right? Understand that anything could occur where people could lose their job. I could lose my job tomorrow. They can come in and say, yo, we're not going to have you. Sorry, it's not in the budget anymore. We got to cut this position. And that's what it is. But then I'll have to rely on the additional things that I've set up for myself to continue to maintain. So always keep that mindset that, going forward, I think another solution is to create those businesses, right? Or create the opportunities to generate additional income. Because if you have your main source of income, the additional is going to be additional. But if you lose that main source, then the additional becomes the main. So I think that's very important going forward. And it's also very important for assisting with even like the mindset of money and the financial piece of it, right? Which will then combat a lot of the issues that we talked about today. So have that backup plan, fellas, and anybody, and ladies too, who are listening.
Yeah, I think that's a good word of advice for sure. Because not only did when people just lose that one income, they lose their whole identity, right? So we also learned that in this past year, well, last year, that people lost a sense of who they were because they stopped doing their job, right? So when you have multiple things that you can do, you won't lose a sense of who you are because who you are isn't attached to just one thing. And to just go back before we wrap up, to go back to what Malcolm was saying about getting yourself in shape. Obviously, I'm a firm believer in that. But when you get yourself in shape, one, you have more confidence in yourself, right? You have more confidence not only in how you look, but just everything about you. Then you can say, dang, like I worked hard to get this body. I damn sure can work hard to get some more bread. Or you have more faith in yourself. You believe in yourself because when you work out and you really got to transform how you want to look, that takes a lot of challenging steps, which ultimately, right, a lot of people think working out is just more of a physical gain, but perhaps the most beneficial gain of getting yourself working out is the mental aspect. You put yourself through voluntary trauma on purpose, right? So then when times like this comes, when that stress that we talked about, you're not seeing it as a threat. You're used to that. Like you're used to, for in a basketball sense, you're used to practicing free throws. You're seeing this as a challenge. You at the end of the game to ice the game, and it's a challenge for you. So when you put yourself in situations that are already high stress levels, situations on purpose, you're building something that is far more valuable than just your physical appearance. You're building something that can help you tremendously, that will help you tremendously throughout just your whole mindset and your whole life, and in terms of how you approach and attack things. So for sure, when you get your body right, your mind is definitely going to follow along for sure. So I highly encourage you, if physical activity isn't your thing and you struggle with confidence or consistency, XYZ, do your thing. Get in the work weight room, get any workouts, or come holler at me and we can get you right to get you started.
And I'll say this too, like if you got a minimum wage job, be the best minimum wage worker ever. Like if you flipping fries, yo, show up 15 minutes early, holler at your manager, yo, what can I do for these 15 minutes to help? And let me sweep the floor, or let me count the money, let me take the trash out, let me shadow you, something. Then when you get off, check in again. And while you're in your shift, be the best person ever. So then when it's time for that promotion, yo, bro, I need you to go up front to the cashier. Oh, now you go to the cashier and you study sales. You're greeting everybody. Oh, what's up, family? We got this going on. Boom, boom, pow. That joint really not that late though. You need to do this one. How y'all doing today? All right. Well, you know how every now and then you get a waiter or a cashier like, yo, like he or she, like they got it. They gonna do something with it, right? And then you become the front end sales person, right? And now you're the store manager. It's McDonald's store managers who's like 20 years old, you know? And also at McDonald's, there's some significant portion of their owners who actually worked at a McDonald's, maybe not that one, but at a McDonald's. Like literally work your way up. So you don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur. Steve Ballmer from Microsoft, who owns the Clippers, my man had a 9 to 5. Like he's never owned a business, and he's a multi-billionaire. He just did great at his job. Now he went to school with like Bill Gates or something, but Bill had to like pry him away from his prior company to come to Microsoft. But he was never an owner. Like he worked his way up. Then he got shares and all that kind of stuff later. That's what Patrick Bet-David calls an entrepreneur. So find a way to make profits from your job. And and especially like if you're a grown man or a grown woman and you're in the same situation today that you was 10 years ago, that's on you, like in my opinion. Like how you still got the same salary? 10 whole years, bro. Could you imagine like 21? That's when we graduated school. That's at least me and Pizzle. Well, no, me, then Pizzle, then KG, and kind of like consecutive years. How can you be the same dude? Like, how can you get an entry level for us, an entry level college position when you a decade out, right? Or you was making minimum wage 10 years ago at 35, and now you 45, you still making minimum wage. That's a you problem, bro. That's not an America problem. So whatever you're doing now, be the best at it. So when those opportunities come to where Pizzle got to hire you, he sat in the hiring chair. I've sat in the hiring chair. I think KG is currently sitting in the hiring chair. That you stick out so that when it's time for people to get that additional bread, you're somebody who's chosen. Or maybe somebody comes to McDonald's and they see you killing them fries and you dope at the register. Yo, I got this company. I could use somebody like you. Here's my card. So make sure you're prepared for that opportunity by over delivering, by doing a majority wage skill level in a minimum wage position. So any closing comments, fellas?
One thing I'll say, I think you just touched on it. Over deliver. That's it. Over deliver.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, and this is for every facet of your life, right? And we're not saying this because if you're a low earner, it's okay, right? Like every you got to be a low earner before you can just all of a sudden get the big bucks. Very few people, just go from low, college students or something to major, earners. But be a superstar in your role, whatever that role is, whatever it is. And piggyback what those two guys said: over deliver and be the best version that you can be, right? Because whenever you're a part of a team and you can bring the intangibles that aren't coachable, like to you bring that energy, you bring the atmosphere up, you bring so much more value because you are bringing the best out of others simply by just being you. So be a superstar in your role, and that will allow you to have more value as well, right? And if you're someone who's also a low earner, and when you're at work, you're miserable, you're mean to other people, you are the worst teammate that you can be. You're never going to be able to at least in that company, grow any higher because you're not making the most out of your situation, right? And when you make the most out of your situation, even if it's not what you want to do at the time, that's only going to benefit you the most, right? Because being nasty and mean to others because you aren't happy isn't going to cure what you have to get going on for you. So be a superstar in your role, and hopefully get higher skill set, and hopefully it'll look up for you.
Nice. And last thing, I just saw my mom comment, over delivering just worked for me thanks to Game 7. So as I said in the beginning, those of you who may need to make these kind of sacrifices, even if you come from the bottom, like, you may not be the one to receive the benefits. It may be somebody who's coming after you. All right. So my mom has been trying to get this position for literally 10 years now. And she finally got the interview, an interview for a position she was looking for. And she was going through the process. She's like, yo, I got the interview. I was like, all right, call me. I'm going to tell you what to do, because I've done this numerous times. So got on the phone and I took her through the process, and she kept saying, like, yo, Malk, like, they don't need all this. Like, this is not what they're asking for. Like, this isn't on the paper. I'm like, yo, trust me, like, do this. You want to make it undoubtedly you when it comes time to make a decision. So it was like all of these extra things that I just learned through going through the process, because I had the education that she put me in the situation to receive. Right? Now that part was on her. Now taking advantage of that education was 100% on me, because I know plenty of primarily dudes who were in the same situation and they blew it. They did not take advantage of the opportunities that they had, whether it was middle school level, high school level, college level, beginning workers salary kind of job level, or at some point. A lot of them didn't take advantage of it. But because she put me in a situation to get that education, to become the man I am, to get those experiences, I was able to feed it back to her. And what we did was we just did 200% of the job, and that helped her get the job. So it may not be you. You may not get the benefits now. It may be somebody that comes after you. But then when that person that comes after you gets it, they can then pay you back by giving them the benefits of the knowledge that you set them up for. Right? So it may not be something that happens in a week, a month, a year. It may take a decade. But bro, like at 31, my age, are you willing to thug it out for 10 years? So from 40 to 80, you can live like a king? Or are you going to sit there and cry about the fact that it's taking you 10 years? And then at 41, you're crying again that it's taking you 10 years. At 51, you're crying again that it's taking you 20 years, when you could reap the benefits if you just start thugging it out today. So over deliver. Don't be a basic individual. Don't make excuses. Find a way to get them skills up, because once you get them skills up, you can get your bread up, and you can afford somewhere to live. See you next week, or maybe the week after. Peace out.